very early into the game. And Flandra definitely doing some work up there as well for AL. So going into the rest of this series, as we get deeper into Fearless, it becomes a lot more difficult here for T1. I feel like, AL are a very creative team with super duper deep champion pools in every role.
And they're basically keeping these same bans coming through. The Azir, we're going to get the Bard towards Kerry as well, making sure that they're not getting those comfort picks. And with the Orianna gone as well, it feels like a lot of those kind of picks that we started to see in the tournament with the Rise, the Talia now gone as well, are starting to be pinched massively in that mid lane role.
And over on the T1 side, Alistar's banned away. The Trundle first ban of the draft lets me know that T1's got to be looking at something tanky, probably up there in the top side, that they do not want subjugated in these team fights. Corki, third ban in the first half for T1.
I am curious what T1's first pick is going to be, because it feels like the Aurora is kind of the other big mid laner that we've seen go through, and Shank's more than happy to play it. I mean, you were already talking about Flowers. It hasn't been the best of times for Faker on that pick. So do they end up just trying to take it as a pick away, or will it be anyone's Legends able to get their hands on it?
But that Bard that you mentioned, Dagda, it's through. Yunara is the final ban in the first three here for anyone's Legend. Remember, Bard is banned against Keria pretty much every game. He's kind of a miracle worker on this champion. We'll see what kind of priority T1 want to place on it.
And the thing is, if you leave it up, Kyle definitely can play it as well. Definitely likes to play it. So it's also a weapon for AL.
Well, there's the Cassante locked in for T1. First pick, 7-16 so far at the tournament. It is one of the most picked champions so far at Worlds 25, but very much not one of the most successful. T1 looking to hopefully change that a little bit for themselves here with Doran locking it in, but it does leave the Bard still on the table, and AL's hovering it.
This is what I'm saying. It is a big weapon for Kyle, too. Everybody knows, yes, Keria Bard is amazing and quite probably the best in the world, but Kyle, big Bard player too, and they're going to snatch it right up.
And it felt like this was a plan from anyone's Legend. This is the first time they were on red side, and this time they let it slip through, knowing that you don't really want to first pick that Bard. So instead now they get their hands on the Jarvan and the Bard, and already, you're kind of looking at, well, what are the options that we have for trying to escape away from this Jarvan, where Ezreal's gone, Corki's banned, which means you have to go for something, I was going to say, like a Xayah or a Ziggs to try and keep yourself safe. But both of them relatively vulnerable to a potential pick on the Bard ahead of time before that Jarvan goes in.
Yeah, interesting, because if you grab the Ziggs, then you can, pick a counter roam champion for Keria as well, and just feel comfortable. If the Ziggs does end up going to Gumayusi in the bottom, of course, they could flex this still as well, if it ends up being a good matchup.
I think the hope as well is to open up the Yone in the mid lane for Faker as well, so then he has another pick that you can go towards, because again, I think that Aurora is going to be the last pick coming through here. Jarvan Aurora, such a very strong combo, but he's going to be the Vi that's secured. I have to see if that Aurora is going to be last.
And I always love that combo, Vi ultimate into Ziggs bomb. The problem is Bard can kind of counter that play if the Bard is in a good position and is, close enough. So looks like we are going to get that lock-in as well that you're looking for.
Yep, there it is. Dagda called it. The Aurora locked in. Assumed for Shanks here in the mid lane. And we'll see now what we want to ban. It's supports, it's mid laners that you're looking at on the anyone's Legend side, and they'll ban away Leona first.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Just try and make sure that you have a decent matchup on that bottom side. I am curious what they want to try and go for Hope here. The Xayah would be, I think, the best answer, just given what's on the opposite side. But a T1 can easily start to focus away those 80 carries and just make this Ziggs Vi combo way more potent if you get rid of, like, Caitlyn Xayah.
Yeah, I'm also thinking like Jhin or something like that, maybe for AL, for Hope. That's a champion that can follow up on a lot of these plays with Aurora, Jarvan, and Bard having a lot of kind of chaos threat here, multiple flank angles.
Getting rid of the Cassiopeia, though, it looks like T1 not convinced that this Aurora is going to be going towards the mid lane to Shanks. I think it might be going in towards that top side to match up against Doran. It's something we used to see, but I think with the Rex side gone as well, maybe they're a little bit more nervous, but I'd keep my eyes on more things like the Gwen and that. But there's that Pike, that other roaming support that you were talking about, Colby.
Yeah, take away another one. T1 Pike won't show up in this game. What's it going to be the last one from T1's ban, though? Because I do feel like it is actually, a good angle for Hope Jhin. Even though you're looking at Cassante, does get very tanky, and maybe the Vi. They do have a lot of options.
He's messing with us a little bit. I'm not going to react to any of these because he's jumping around to quite a few different choices.
I mean, banning the Kaisa is good. That also is a big threat. It also has, follow-up potential for some of those dive angles. So very valid there as well.
Yeah, I like something that has escape or long range. So the Jhin, the Zeri, Caitlyn, Xayah, I think you're all perfectly fine with. But obviously, it is just going to be the Jhin for that long range follow-up. So again, now it's kind of on Flandre, I feel like, to have a little bit more damage coming through from that top side. So I think I would be looking at things like the Gwen or a Jax, decent matchup into that top side, and can provide enough of that DPS in fights as well.
All right, T1. Let's see what we're going to get here from that support, from that mid lane. We mentioned earlier maybe wanting a Yone for Faker in the mid lane. We'll see if that comes through. Supports both targeted here in the second half of the bans, but no, it's carry a Blitzcrank.
Okay, the blitz, the counter roam right here. Going to be looking to make some plays across the map and the Silas on top of it. So T1 will be a little bit light on attack damage, especially if Owner does not get ahead or does not get some early power. And so it looks like the Aurora is going to go try and abuse the Cassante up in the side lane. And it is going to be Shanks here looking to lock in one of those melee carries.
I really like this adaptation here if they go towards the Yone. It gives you a really strong matchup in the mid lane that you can look to bully through, and you end up with the Aurora having this push on the top side as well. I love what Anyone's Legend have brought to the table here. Great dive, great safety for your AD carry, and it feels like T1 have to find creative ways to be disruptive in those fights.
And if you want to disrupt something, one of the most disruptive champions in the game can be a Blitzcrank. We know what this champion does. The old phrase, one pull, one game. If you're not hitting hooks, you're completely useless. You might as well be a cannon minion. But the hooks can warp the entirety of any fight that you land a big one in.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have to in this game because to me, I think AL are going to have a lot of pushing power early in this game. Push out your lanes and let Tarzan get some room to work with on this Jarvan. I think AL's early game is going to be fearsome.
Yeah, and Flandre, 10-1 on the Aurora. Incredible performances from him on this pick, and especially if he can get that better Adorn and continue to, keep that pressure and push up, suddenly the opportunities for Blitzcrank to try and find those hooks and find those places where you can play off pocket of visions becomes a little bit more difficult. But for Anyone's Legend here in Shanghai, what a day it would be if they could finally take down the T1 or at least continue to push themselves forward in towards that game number 4.
Let's do it, man. So far, the series has delivered. We're tied up 1-1. Game number 3 as we head onto the Rift to see who moves on to match point. On these big stages, at this highest level of competition, momentum can be so very powerful. As we head out onto the river now, I always want to look out for level 1 shenanigans when Blitzcrank is in the game.
Standard opening so far, so no early invades just quite yet, but we're just getting started here.
Gary is spotted on the ward though, so Anyone's Legend at least aware of where the Blitzcrank is, which definitely alleviates a lot of the pressure.
Does have the sweeper once again as well.
Okay. Ooh, nice little quick trade there from Faker as he sidesteps, but Shanks gets pulled. Nice moves there from Keria, but now they got to be a little bit careful. Gumayusi going to take some pain from AL as they fire back, so both sides going to lose about half a health bar.
And T1 bottom lane actually pays for that with their heal cost, and Guma's pretty chunked out. So Ziggs here starting out very low in the early stages. Shanks also, though, is going to start out a lot lower. It's going to be up to Faker to try and abuse it, and he does.
Yeah, nicely done from Faker there. Just jumps in with the abscond, point blank range to hit the abduct for the early quick trade.
Yeah, that's exactly how you want to try and get ahead in this mid lane, but I think, again, as you were saying, like Anyone's Legend, hoping to try and abuse on this bottom side of the map, especially as Kael has the range advantage. If he can get some auto attacks onto Gumayusi, that's where he can start to put the pressure down. But we'll have to see if it's going to be possible.
Yeah, Hope was reloading.
Yeah, nice pull there from Keria. Doesn't get a whole lot of damage onto Hope because he uses that barrier nice and early for the extra trading potential. Remember that it is +1 extra combat summoner spell for the AL side since Gumayusi is running teleport here on the Ziggs.
Yeah, and he's going to need to use it because he has no more potions left pretty early on. Had to use those. So going to rely on the extra teleport. Maybe we can even things out. There's a deep ward up on top side too, up in the middle brush. So we can look for some lane assignments later on. They decide to alter them very quickly. Another hook lands though.
Oh, in the tower! Underneath the turret, Kael has to flash away to avoid death.
The heal burned as well. Kael lucky to escape. It's a nice combo by T1 and nearly results in first blood.
Yeah, that one was exciting there. Lands it, gets the bounce back, the satchel charge into the tower shot, but is the flash, is the heal from Kael maybe a little bit more vulnerable? He's got his jungler pathing down towards bottom side though, so AL's bottom lane should feel fairly comfortable. They've got Tarzan here to grab the bottom side Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, I wonder how much this wave is going to push out. It looks like it will be pushing back in slowly towards Gumayushi, but might have given an opportunity for Tarzan to look for something on his bottom side. Still considering, but a nice ward spots him out moving towards mid here.
Shanks continuing to lose out in these short trades with Faker, but it's not really affecting the farm very much. You can see both of them very close in that count as Owner is hanging out on the side of mid lane. Shanks in some danger. Vault Breaker charged up. Shanks with a flash away as Tarzan comes in for the counter attack there with the EQ combo. Kael right behind him looking for a binding, but it does not stun. Shanks losing the flash here from the gank. No summoner spell spent by T1.
A nice gank timing here from Owner. He goes for the gank before the Scuttle Crab.
Flash pull from Keria, but not quite close enough to get the lollipop on the hook.
Yeah, Shanks just able to step away from that one, and now that flash being burnt on Keria actually helps out AL in keeping this Blitzcrank under wraps. It means that he has to be a little bit more honest when it comes towards the laning phase. Shanks though, I was going to say with KL should be able to have that help to pick up a lot of this wave underneath the tower before he looks for his first reset.
And we did get that swap that we're looking for towards the early stages here, where Guma uses teleport, goes up to the top side. They want to get this Aurora away from Cassante. That lane is a little bit painful, and they swap him over to the other side. Guma should be fine to push out, as you recommend Jarvan just keeps on re-clearing here. You don't want to be too inefficient. So get those camps respawning once again. Tarzan just clear on down to the bottom side of the map.
It's really the level 6 where I want to see AL come alive. Like Jarvan having 6, Shanks being able to use his ultimate alongside Flandre, those skirmishes become incredibly potent. So I'm curious how T1 want to try and alleviate that pressure. Like you could try and go for these early dragons and keep that pressure up. You can see Kael kind of placing wards already to make that very difficult. The push that you have on bot side going to make it difficult as well because T1 have opted to swap Gumayushi top. But Keria is still fishing.
Yep, wants to see if he can get this hook, but Shanks playing to the other side of the lane.
And they got a lot more value out of the level 1 chunk damage onto Shanks.
Ooh, Shanks, though, knocked up. Keria goes for the pull right after. No flash available on this Yone. They don't have enough damage to kill him, but with only 300 health to play with, he has to drink the potion, and Shanks is not in good shape.
It truly is providing a lot of value there. It's causing a response from AL. They've got control woods all the way through the river, so they can constantly roam up to mid lane as well. And Faker is getting dangerous.
Yeah, Faker walks too close to the brush. The deadly flourish right after the EQ coming in from Tarzan. Faker still on the run. AL thinking about going further. There's your fate sealed. Shanks goes in. First blood over to Hope.
Anyone's legend collapsed onto the mid lane. T1 have put so much pressure onto Shanks, but the valve just popped in favor of AL.
Not only is it first blood, the jungler is the one killed, so it turns into that plus the dragon right after.
Yeah, I mean, Faker is the one who wanders into the darkness of river, but Owner's the one who pays the price for it. And that is huge. The 2 control wards that AL had on the bottom side leading into this river, constantly keeping this highway of ganks open for themselves, provides a ton of value here.
Also just great timing from anyone's legend to understand the spike Shanks had hit. Hit level 6 off the wave that was in that mid lane to open up for the follow-up play. Doran, a little dicey here.
Yeah, Doran's not loving this 1v2 situation. Deadly Flourish doesn't hit him, so he does manage to get back to safety with a little over half his HP remaining. But good stuff here for AL, pulling out to an early lead 7 minutes in.
Yeah, smart little brush camp there from Tarzan, waiting around for that little roam, and the rewards are big. Starting to sack dragons early is going to be very powerful for them. trying to draw them into the next team fights. Regardless, Shanks will be moved down to the bottom side of the map to try and pick up the side waves.
And last game we talked about wanting to see a more active early game from Tarzan compared to game number 1, and we got the level 3 Wukong gang. This time around, it's not a surprise to see Jarvan wanting to make plays earlier on in the game, and Tarzan leading the way is exactly the recipe for success you want to see from AL.
And that's why T1 tried to attack the mid lane, because this like Jarvan-Yone combo is so potent together. And if they could get Faker into a lead, that could actually shut down some of that combination. But now AL, having that kill go across, restabilizes this lane in favor of anyone's legend. And they're even shifting Shanks now up towards this top side as the Void Grub spawn. They want to really hammer home how strong they are right now.
Grub started up. And it looks like topside, Gumayusi forced back by Flandre here at the same time, chunking the Ziggs below half HP. AL still with total control over the Grub pit. They've brought everyone up here, so Doran's gonna get some free firing time on the bottom lane turret, try to get some plates out of that one. We'll be able to secure the first, maybe even the second down here, but all 3 Grubs for AL.
Yep, T1 get a small consolation prize, as you say, with the plate there for Doran, but big power move again. AL, I like what I'm seeing. You know, Shanks over there isn't going to have too many problems. Meanwhile, just throwing out the ultimate combo from Flandre to get a big chunk onto Gumayusi as they're taking the Grubs here, softens them up, makes sure there's not going to be any real counterplay from T1. Now we're going to see the stages where Tarzan and Kyle really work together, though. The Bard and the Jarvan.
Yeah.
These two, there's so much mobility, so much potential to burn summoner spells and pick people off.
But this is the style of play that anyone's legend were so well renowned for, but Hope under pressure now.
Yeah, Carrier wants the pull and he finds it onto Hope, who immediately tries to get away with the bomb right over the top. They take him down. Gumayusi gets the kill. T1 sends more men and they'll claim their prize.
Yeah, that's a just play safe moment. How do you survive that one? That is painful. Nice job from T1. They full send on it. Owner uses ult and flash to secure this kill.
And they should be able to get some of the plates on the mid wave as well. Although Tarzan is in position to try and hold on.
Doran versus Shanks down here in the bottom side. They're both just going to continue trading a little bit back and forth, but I don't expect a whole lot to happen from either one. You can see Doran does have the Negatron cloak for the laning against Flandre. That's not going to do a whole lot against Yone. There is still some magic damage in the kit, but most of it is physical. I also still going to keep my eyes very closely on the inventory of Shanks. We know how powerful Yone is when he hits Blade of the Ruined King, and I think that could be a big deal if he can get it before the next dragon fight.
Honestly, across the board, the 100 spikes for AL are terrifying. Sundered Sky for your Tarzan. Flandre going to have a ton of burst as well when he gets towards his Hex Protect Gunblade. And the fact that he's able to now, with these 3 Void Grubs, continue to put pressure on side lanes, makes these 1-3-1 threat significantly stronger for anyone's legends. And now, looking in mid, they want to try and burn this flash on Gumayusi.
See what they can get. Kyle on the Bard, almost level 6. No Tempered Fate available. Is going to hang around here and try to get it, I would assume, from this minion wave. Very, very close. There it is. Okay, level 6 available for Kyle. Carrier also level 6 on the Blitzcrank. Of course, the Blitz ulti generally considered much less impactful than the Tempered Fate.
All right, let's see. I think this is kind of hard for AL to enter since Carrier's got the early teleport out here with the spellbook, and the Blitzcrank is very threatening for a Jhin with no flash. Hope has to be so careful. You need to keep your range if they even thinking about going towards this dragon, because a Jhin with no summoner spells is exactly what T1 want to try and attack.
Anyone's legend do have some early ward setups though. You can see one at the back of Dragon Pit and one that just died in that picks up rush on bottom side. So having some idea as to where T1 are, they will spot that T1 have started this up, but reset for Tarzan. Doesn't look like they will be here in time, although Owner taking this one kind of slow.
Okay, both of our junglers have their Sundered Skies available. Proto Belt also completed for Faker. T1 starting up the Drake, have it down to half HP. Kyle, Tempered Fate, trying to save his jungler. Tarzan survives for now, but T1 is bringing everybody to the show. Doran in the middle of the Cataclysm. The stolen Tempered Fate. Tarzan's already down. Kyle's about to die. T1's found 2. Shanks is in the middle of everybody, and he has to try to get away. He wants to charge Q3. He gets over the wall for now. Anyone's legend has already lost their jungler and their support. The 2 that they need to make the plays are dead in the dirt, and T1 takes the fight.
Hale make the call for the dangerous approach to this dragon. They try and flank around with the teleport behind the dragon pit, but T1 they do not hesitate. They immediately turn, and even though the Ziggs ult is immune with the Bard ult, wait a second, Kyle's getting in there.
Yeah, Kyle on the approach, but no, the smite is there for Owner, and T1 take the Drake.
Maybe just hoping he could fish for stun off the back of the dragon and find a kill, but it will be T1 securing that second dragon. As you say, Kobe, well played on Faker with that second Bard ultimate to just lock everyone in place, and AL just couldn't quite find the engage they wanted with Flandre in the flank. And even now, it looks like they're moving topside. Shanks will have to be careful, but we'll see it here. Tarzan approaches blind, doesn't have the support there, but in mid lane.
Yep, we're right back to live, and it's Gumayusi. Already used the satchel, sidesteps the deadly flourish. Tarzan steps forward, and Hope's got the killing bullet. AL with their second kill.
I tell you, mid lane is a dangerous place in this series. It is a dangerous place, especially for the carries. The walk down here, even with the fancy feet from Guma, AL, they find the kill to bring this gold lead ever so slightly back in their favor. And once again, we have such a close game state here with Dragon split as well.
The kills that were giving AL the chance to get back into the map and push the waves in their favor ahead of a minute 20 or minute 30 until that Rift Herald, and that's really, you know, what that difference maker was in that last Dragon fight. It was T1 setting up in the Dragon, AL having to force blind. But if anyone's Legend can find picks and find the push on side lanes with both Shanks and Flandre, it is easier for them to move in towards these objectives first and not have to just brute force their way past the Blitzcrank.
I'm loving this series, man.
It's so
this
sick.
is a fun series. All of these early games feel like we're getting such a close matchup. As the turret plating falls, 3-2, gold lead only a couple hundred, less than 60 seconds until the Rift Herald spawns, and you can see T1 setting up in the area first, and it's so scary to be second to the objective when the enemy team has Blitz.
100% agree, especially when they've got all the follow-up of a Ziggs ultimate. We have seen how much damage Ziggs can do at this tournament. Owner as well on the Vi is ready to pounce, and they have the early positioning inside the pit. Control ward goes down as well to make sure that they have the possibilities of looking for these picks.
L kind of needs to make his way back up towards his top side pretty quickly. Shanks using that solo bounce to try and farm up the wave, but you can see they're very scared of a potential dive up towards his top side. And I think at this stage, it may be too difficult for AL to approach.
Yeah, whenever Yone leaves his spirit underneath the turret and then goes up and stabs the melee minions, you know he thinks something's got to be going on. So Shanks will try to clear that out as well as he can. Biggest individual gold lead for either side is Hope for the side of AL. Doran on the Cassante for the side of T1. Doran does have his Jack show completed, so does have some resistance against both
Flandre's
types of
in behind
damage.
Guma.
Flandre's coming in here on the flank, jumps in, but he doesn't find the opportunity here just yet. Tempered Fate, no target. Gumayusi getting away. Caught up here with a deadly flourish. The shots fire out. The curtain is called, and Gumayusi is cold as T1 lose their bottom lane carry, and anyone's Legend are moving forward towards the Herald.
The target selection from AL was beautiful. Gumayushi's flash was down, and they rotate Flandre early to make sure they can get the pick, and they will answer for tower pressure and the Rift Herald.
And anyone's Legend gets the first turret. They've got the 3 grubs. They had the opportunity to force that down to the top lane before Doran could get the first turret down in the bottom lane at the same time, and that means it's feats earned for anyone's Legend as well.
The pressure out of Kyle's Bard is huge. The ultimate forces Guma to dodge backwards into the rest of the team. And AL, they find the pick, they find the objective. As you say, upgrading their sneakers once again.
But this is why Flandre has been so fun to watch on anyone's Legend, and honestly in the LPL in general. His understanding of where he needs to be on the map. He's the one that rotates in towards mid. He's the one that forces Gumayusi into this awkward position on which Tarzan and Kyle can capitalize. It's this old man experience that is so difficult to come by. It is, and Flandre has it in heaps and bounds. And it's working out, are paying dividends now for anyone's Legend.
All right, fellas, we've got less than 45 seconds until the third Drake of the game spawns. Now, the first 2 are split 1-1, so nobody's threatening stacking towards a soul point condition for the rest of the game or anything here just yet, but it does look like T1 will once more be first to the area. As you can see Doran moving around, trying to make sure they maintain control. You can see all the vision set up by T1 in this enemy blue side jungle, just trying to have this solid ward line to see wherever AL is going to approach from.
Yeah, trying to attack the side lane at the moment. Owner kind of trailing here. But Shanks is playing fairly cautiously, has a control ward there by the Gromp, and just backs up as the minion wave coming to him. So nobody exposed just quite yet. All right, Rift Herald goes down in mid, and we get the teleports.
All right, it's the classic summon the Herald right before the Drake, create a second point of pressure that the enemy team has to respond to. Herald trying to make its way over there as Tarzan jumps in. Doran sliding away, Deadly Flourish not going to lock anybody up, and the Herald eliminated before it can charge. And now AL heading down into the bot side river. T1 on the approach, they have stolen the Tempered Fate yet again.
AL got what they wanted though, the switcheroo on who has control in the river. Now T1 need to try and break AL.
Okay, keep your eyes on Keria, keep your eyes on either one of the Bard ultis that could fly out here. Flandra hanging back near the tier 1 turret in the mid lane for the side of AL as the Dragon is already down to half HP. T1 trying to decide where they want to go. They're staying nearby for now as Faker throws out the Tempered Fate to slow down the Drake a little bit. AL secures the Drake. They try to defend the tier 1 over in the mid lane here at the same time. Ulti from the Aurora keeps the structure standing, but Gumayushi has the satchel to complete the trade. Dragon for AL, tier 1 turret for T1.
Yeah, T1, wait a second.
Nice Tempered Fate there, flies out from Kael, and now they're looking to go in after Keria. The Mega Inferno Bomb's not gonna matter, and AL get the free pick.
Kyle finds another pick, and T1 thought they were gonna get the better of the money exchange here. They decide, okay, fine, you've got the Drake, we're gonna delay you by using the stolen Bard ult, and we'll take mid. But then AL still get paid a little bit on the back half here with a good ultimate from Kyle.
And it's difficult for them to really use the fact that this mid lane tower is down because Shanks and Flandre tend to have a bit more of an advantage in the side lanes right now. So at this stage, it looks like for AL, going to be an advantageous trade as long as that gold is staying even off the back of it. And you can see again Kyle poking his head in towards this top lane, wants to see if he can pay a visit to Faker.
All right, let's see if Guma can stay safe here in mid lane as we
hard.
see so much pressure. The flash very important as well, and Keria doing his work to try and create at least one side of that mid lane where you can lean to, where you can stay safe. But the wards are hard to keep up. As soon as you put them down, either Tarzan or Kyle move in, and it feels like they're clearing out a lot of this vision, opening up avenues for AL to try and create these picks.
And we're getting closer to those second item power spikes. The first man there is Hope on the Jhin. It's one advantage that Jhin has over a lot of other AD carries. His itemization is cheaper early on, and it makes it so he hits these spots faster. So Hope with a rapid fire plus the Yumu's Ghostblade, he could go for the upgraded tier 3 boots now if he wants to as well, but we'll see how they want to navigate that. Otacon has made its way onto the Rift, and it's bottom side this game.
AL would like a little bit of time though before that Otacon is started up, because you've almost got the Immortal Shield Bow completed towards Shanks. Flandra's very close to his second item as well, so I think if they can wait for that spike, it should be significantly stronger for them. And the only worry obviously is that Faker will have completed his, has the Seeker's Arm Guard. Actually, I thought he was going for the full Sonya's Hourglass, but he's going to stop off for a pit stop. So looks like, at least I think that 2-item spike is what AL can play for.
Okay, Keria and Gumayushi trying to maintain some control over the Otacon pit. There's nothing else on the Rift to fight for another 2.5 minutes, and even then, that's the Drake. It's right next door to Otacon's house. Everybody's still going to be on the same part of the map. As AL decide to make their way forward, Tarzan will use the flag just to try to get some vision as they clear out some of these wards from T1.
And everybody knows Otacon throws the best house parties.
Oh, he really does. Everybody shows up.
Yeah, Kyle gonna try and look for the reset though, because he's completely out of wards. Kerry's been doing a great job of keeping that pressure there, and off the back of a T1 looking to invade, knowing that Kyle is going to be lacking on the vision.
Doran going in, wants the 1v1 against Shanks. The Cassante is all out. Shanks fighting back, sidesteps the third and Tofo strike. Got a little dicey there at the end. Gives him the Team Liquid thumbs up and walks away.
Shanks barely surviving there. Still though, putting out this extra pressure. Interesting that Shanks is now gonna have ultimate advantage because he just used his flash and his E to survive. And so if AL can actually create a fight where Cassante has no ult, maybe they can actually set up a big Yone ult and find something there. As you see though, a lot of the vision over towards Otacon's house is T1 blue. So they're the ones with the setup over towards the big objective.
Still though, I think this is a Mortal Shield Bow on reset here for Shanks, so he's going to be hitting a very strong point. There it is, alongside the 2 item spikes across the board. So if I'm AL, this is kind of the window that I want to try and play off of, as we just pressed into that position with item spikes and also that ult advantage.
Yeah, it's the 2 item power spike on everybody that's not a support, for everybody except for Faker. Tempered Fate, no target connection there, but AL is going all the way in. They want Gumayushi, who already gets away, so they're going to switch over to Keria now instead. Owner trying to fight back as Shanks is in the middle of everybody. He snaps back. Keria dies first. Immortal Shield Bow keeps Shanks alive as AL are now continuing to retreat. Kyle and Shanks very low. T1 goes forward. Tarzan with a dunk, but he's only going to steal his own fate. Gumayushi barely holding on, but he burns down. Faker with a kill on Tarzan. Owner chases hope. The Jhin getting away for now as T1 have lost their bottom lane, but they've killed 3 in response. Faker after Flandra, who has to flash away. Owner flashes to try to catch him with a ball breaker. Flandra needs more distance, but he cannot find it. Abscond, abduct. Goodbye to the Aurora, and it's a 4-for-2 trade favoring T1.
Great flash from Owner to secure this last kill, to chase down the Aurora and ensure that T1 will claim the objectives in the aftermath. Here's a look at how it started.
Kyle uses that ultimate but doesn't actually catch Keria, who's able to sidestep. And as everyone in AL comes in, watch the hook. Keria denies Flandre that instant to burst out Gumayushi, and Shanks tries to follow but ends up getting caught out, can't snap back to the soul, and T1 keep the carry safe and find a way then afterwards to follow through as anyone's legend overextend to make the pick happen.
Yeah, Guma was barely able to waddle away from that Yone ult, and that was key. Keria is looking as they take Dragon. I think Owner's staying on the red though, so they're probably just going to sacrifice this. This will be soul point, not the actual soul itself.
Exactly, and that missed Yone ult that you're talking about, that's why they forced the fight, because Yone, like you said, still had it and Cassante didn't, but if you whiff the thing, you might as well already have it on cooldown. Anyone's legend, they pick their fight and T1's ready. Now it's a T1 2,000 gold lead.
It also shows though for anyone's legend, like they have a very strong wombo combo, but the pieces kind of need to be put into place correctly for it to work. Like you want that slow from the Aurora, or you want that lockup from the Jarvan to enable Shanks to hit his ultimate, but you're not really seeing that setup, especially as Kyle had also burnt that Bard ult early. So ult economy, incredibly important for anyone's legend in these upcoming fights, because if they can get a mountain soul for themselves, it makes things so much easier in these upcoming fights.
It certainly does. Adds so much durability to your team, allowing them to actually finally get on to Gumayushi. Guma, though, so far has been able to waddle away from a lot of the engage, and it does look comical, and it is successful.
It's the Otacon plus 2,500 gold lead versus that soul point threat that you're talking about for AL. And remember, Dragon Souls are worth about 4,000 golds worth of stats. So if you then manage to take that after winning a fight, all of a sudden things feel largely catapulted the other direction. So T1 is going to try to continue building this gold lead as much as they can for the next 3.5 minutes. They'll take down the tier 1 there in the top lane. That is the final tier 1 turret that was left standing for AL. And honestly, AL, yes, they got first turret of the game. That earned them feats. It was that top lane tier 1. They have not taken another turret for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so much is riding on this Dragon Soul fight that is going to come very quickly. We've already got 3 minutes on the clock. T1 immediately getting some super deep vision down. Keria here trying to find some sort of pocket of Fog of War to find a very big hook. Maybe get an early summoner spell.
Okay, knocks Tarzan up into the air. Tempered Fate onto Tarzan to try to keep him safe a little bit longer here, and he does manage to buffer through the CC. Now Flandra putting some pain onto the T1 lines, but no! It's Owner going in, they lock up Flandra, they beat him down! Owner's on a killing spree, and that's -1 for AL. T1 find the pick, and then they immediately evacuate.
That Vi Ziggs combo is just deadly, man. Owner sees his target, locks him up, Guma throws the ultimate, and T1 once again with the pressure.
And as Flandre just trying to help out Tarzan that ends up getting him caught, didn't need to invest the ultimate, could have just escaped because KL had bought enough time for the Demacian Standard to be used to escape. But now T1 another tower, more pressure to push AL back as Faker just looking to clear this wave and reset as well.
After shooting that stolen Jhin ulti back at Hope, Tarzan goes in after the T1 mid laner, but again, just not a ton of threat. Faker, very solid here on the Silas, does have the Proto Belt and Riftmaker both fully completed alongside that arm guard that Dagda, you mentioned it getting completed 10 minutes ago. He's still not had to break it.
Has had no need to. There has been little pressure towards him. I wasn't sure if you were just going to commit the Cataclysm there with the flash to Silas, where we get to see this play again.
I feel like this is how you got to play Blitzcrank. You got to go just create plays out of very little. You know, Tarzan is on his wolves, and Carrier gets in there. Yeah, he gets away. But, as you say, since Flandra's over here watching and trying to help / peel, he gets caught. Owner says, you're not getting away from me. And they immediately turn it into way more than it really should have been.
Tarzan had already escaped, so... And again, I think, coming back to the play in the mid lane, I thought Tarzan was actually going to commit with the Cataclysm because you could see the TP from Shanks to come in as well. They wanted that pick to turn in towards Baron, and then you'd have that opportunity with Baron buff to try and fight for this Mountain Dragon, but not willing to commit, and it means that now T1 back on the map, less than a minute until the next objective, and Anyone's Legend are just hoping that they can push out these waves enough to contest.
And I want to go back to something you talked about in game 1, Kobe, where the gold leads amount to something so huge when they get you certain specific items. How about a fully completed Hourglass on Faker? How about Guardian Angel on Owner? These one-shot items that can do so much in a single fight. You're seeing no such thing over there on the side of AL, and it means that getting this Dragon Soul is starting to feel pretty far away.
And that's why we see so little variation in jungler builds, Flowers, because this spike of a Guardian Angel, having this in the mid-game when you've got giant objectives, as Faker now has to run, does provide a lot of value when the soul fight is coming. But if Faker can't get away, this could be very problematic.
Yeah, Flash immediately into the binding, Tempered Fate right after. Faker trying to get away, goes golden to buy himself an extra second. Through the wall they go, Tempered Fate from Faker, keeping himself alive as Doran's under the back line. Hope is under pressure, Faker's still alive for now. Hope gonna be cut down. Doran going in and Faker's already cut down first. Hope next to die. It's a 1-for-1. AL's in the middle of everybody as Tarzan has to try to get away, and Carrier's gonna be focused, but he finds a pull over the wall beforehand. Flandra pulled in, but Doran shut down. Gumayushi over the wall with another satchel as Tarzan wants to find a little bit more, but he dies. Gumayushi and Owner working together as Guma dies to Shanks. Owner wants another. Flandra needs to get away, and he hops between worlds. The Abyss can't chase him down. Flandra gets back over the wall, and Shanks is ready to flash. Owner will get knocked into the Guardian Angel. Carrie is the only one left alive, and that Guardian Angel will not hear the prayers of T1. It's a 4-for-2, and Anyone's Legend call their fight.
What an insane fight for Anyone's Legend. I thought this was the mistake. The ult from Kael stops Shanks from following up, and T1 trying to collapse, but Vi and Ziggs take so long to get here that you end up in a position where Anyone's Legend can deal a ton of damage to Faker before Gumayushi really gets into the fight. Hope stays alive for so long, dodging away from Doran, that they manage to make a play, and then here, Tarzan flashing away, keeping himself alive, continues to get value as this fight moves on. Anyone's Legend barely managed to scrap their way around, and that is the soul for Anyone's Legend.
Yeah, Owner's still dead for another 5 seconds. Unless you have some sort of a miracle blunder from the side of AL, there's no way. AL, off the back of a pick, will claim the Mountain Soul.
And it's a MasterCard priceless moment for Anyone's Legend. For LPL fans that have waited over 12 years to try and take down T1. For AL to be in a position now where they can push themselves to 2-game advantage, or a game up, would be absolutely insane.
And the way that AL did it, they set their sights on the man who has caused them so many problems, the thorn in their side, on Faker. They attack him in the side lane. They find the pick. Yes, it took a long time with all those stasis, but they eventually are able to make the pick that turns into the team fight that gives them soul. Now, though, T1 looking at the Baron.
We still have a very, very close game state. It's still a 2,000 gold lead plus the Otacon power for the side of T1 compared to the Mountain Soul of AL. Doran is the only person AL could try to attack right now. They know that that is not the way you start a fight, so they will not continue their chase.
When you were talking about those spikes, though, for T1, look at it for similar for AL, right? Now in Mountain Soul, the ability to actually try and burst you out, which is what T1 want to do, is significantly more difficult. You've Redemption and Locus on towards Kael, which makes it even more difficult to focus down just one member. For anyone's Legends, they now have the safety nets they need, and with T1, they're looking for picks.
Yeah, Doran eats about 1,000 damage as he tries to approach that brush, and now Tarzan jumps over the wall. Tempered Fate fired out. It's the stolen one there from Faker, but the reel from Kyle does not hit either. Doran continuing to try to get away. Shanks on the Yone also has his Infinity Edge now. If he can find that Fate Seal that we were talking about earlier, combo it with the rest of the team, it could seriously end the team fight right there. Doran has lost half his HP, but he's still feeling confident enough right now. As you can see, T1 moving over to the Baron.
It's a real ultimate used by anyone's Legend, but Faker still has the opportunity to steal away another one. So T1 starting to move in towards this Baron. Looks like they don't want to fully commit. Just seeing what they can do is Flandre, at least pushing on the side now, going to be able to get finally another tower for anyone's Legend.
The second turret of the game for AL. 33 minutes in. They got those 3 Void Grubs early, but just have not been able to find a way to effectively use them thus far. Flandre has his teleport to join the rest of the team whenever he needs to. I would have to think that he's very close to his 3rd fully completed item here as well. And you can see he recalls to base now and purchases the Crypt Bloom.
And honestly, the longer this game goes, I feel like it is good for AL. They've got this permanent power of the Dragon Soul that they will retain, and they have so many damage sources that they can scale on their team with so many threats that they can apply to T1.
They also now have the tier 3 boots purchased on everybody that is not Kyle. Probably once the Bard has enough money, he'll be upgrading those as well, but a little bit hard to do that with a support budget right now. T1 starting up the Baron. It will be spotted out by the Scryer Trinket from anyone's Legend. Gumayushi just trying to play defense.
It's a bit of a fake bluff though, because their Baron take is not very quick on T1's side, and anyone's Legend know it. You can see it there. They've been on it for a while, only half HP now.
Yep, but they are not backing off just yet. Kyle fires out the Tempered Fate, but he won't find a target. Keria wanted to pull, but he misses everybody. T1 backs away from the objective now as the tier 1 turret also dies here in the mid lane. That's all 3 outer turrets now dead on the T1 side. AL gonna be happy about that as they continue. Wait, not that third. That one in the bottom lane didn't actually die. Flandre had to back off before it could. Owner looking for an opportunity. Shanks jumps in, finds the Q3, immediately resets. Doran's nearly killed at the very start of the fight. Owner having to get away now as well with the curtain call firing out. Faker sidesteps Deadly Flourish. Doran and Owner seriously injured as AL head over to Baron.
Now that is some good defense. AL got exactly what they want. They stall the Baron, they get you off, they then get the mid tower, and now they're gonna force T1 to come to them.
And T1 are ready to answer the challenge. Faker with a teleport ready to join up as immediately the engage comes out from Tarzan. The target is Keria. The Shank Seal finds everybody! Thanks in the back line as Gumayushi tries to get away. He's scattered, but he's knocked down by Tarzan. Faker scrambling as Kyle and Hope chase after him. Doran's gonna be the next target, and anyone's Legend have forced the world champions back.
What an engage from anyone's Legend! Tarzan does not hesitate. He pulls the trigger onto Keria as he approaches the pit, and it is Baron for anyone's Legend.
AL no, T1 are feeling the pressure. The entire stadium has erupted here in Shanghai.
And the gold lead now back under the command of AL. They've got the Dragon Soul, the Elder spawning in less than 1 minute. The binding into the wall does not connect to Kyle, but now T1 is overextended. Owner's in the middle of everyone. That's your jungler right before Elder, but the TP is a mistake from Flandre. He's shut down already. Owner's Guardian Angel will not save him. It's a 1-for-1. Tempered Fate collides onto Doran, but he's unstoppable because of Pathmaker, so he gets away. It's 4v4 on the map for the next 50 seconds, but one team doesn't have a jungler.
And one team doesn't have the GA. Tarzan just bought his off the reset, and Kyle makes T1 overextend as they manage to get this pick. The TP from Flandre was way too deep, ends up getting caught. But your life for the junglers with Elder Dragon arriving so soon is huge.
It certainly is. AL, they will be holding all of the cards in this game. It comes down to clutch moments.
Yeah.
Guardian Angels, though, are up for Tarzan. They are up for Shanks. AL, such an advantage.
T1 trying to approach. Doran's going to be the point man, trying to make his way in there as Gumayusi continues to throw bouncing bombs. Elder Dragon down to 3,000. Fate Seal cuts through, but the stasis going to lock everybody up. Tarza's going to be your focus. Mega Inferno Bomb over the top of the Elder is secured by anyone's legend, and they're continuing the fight. Faker is about to be executed as Doran falls too. Anyone's legend is murdering T1. Curtain call fires out. Most of the bullets won't find their target, but they won't need to. The final shot in Gumayusi is the victory shot for anyone's legend.
And they will head towards that T1 Nexus, taking this game, getting themselves to just one game away from what no other LPL team has ever been able to do. They will put T1 to series points here.
All right, the inhibitor falls. It's Owner and Keria versus AL. They have to try to distract. Owner jumps into the middle of everyone, but the Elder Dragon will roar with the might of China as anyone's legend forces T1 to match point and takes game 3.
The second seed from the LPL stands on the precipice of doing what has never been done before.